Yeah, I think if you've coming out of a nasty divorce where there's a lot of animosity, everybody's going to need as much support as you can get for yourself. And sometimes what parents do is they try to make their battle with demanding that their kids be raised a certain way, and it becomes a big power struggle. And that's not the way to do it. I'm not saying don't fight for the things you think are absolutely essential, but rather than try to feel empowered by winning every single battle, I think it's very important what you're saying, Leslie, is get support for yourself so that you don't feel like you have to win every single battle, that you feel empowered enough to support it enough that you can be a little more flexible, that you don't damage the kids by being overly rigid. Because the more help we get, the more guidance we get, the more support, the less we have to feel we're in control of every little detail. And we can pick the battles for our kids and choose them. So I think it's very important. Help yourself. The whole idea of, being in an airplane, they talk about the oxygen masks, put it on the parents first. I'm a big believer in that. The more you're okay, the more you can help your kid.
So let's back up for a minute and say, what is the best approach to telling your children that you're getting divorced?
Well, it depends very much on the age of the child, of course. So it's different approaches for different ages. Certainly, one common theme is to, especially when the kids are younger, but always, is to convey to them that although the parents are separated, and sometimes relationships between the mommy and daddy can change and separate, what's very important is to convey that the relationship between them, the child, and the parents never, ever ends and never decreases, and that they can count on, to convey the security and consistency in that. So to acknowledge, yeah, things are going to be different with your father, your mother, but not with you. You're going to always have two parents who love you and are going to be there for you. That's very important. That's the most important, because kids are going to worry. They're going to say, my parents can do this. Why can't they do this with me? Or if when one parent moves out, they're left with one parent, and they'll say, well, what if they go away? I'll be all alone. There's all kinds of fears that you need to reassure your kids are going to do. Depends on the ages. That young kids just want to know that's going to, there'll be consistency. Kids in elementary school will need to know, have you thought about my play dates, my activities, what's going to happen logistically? Parents can start to reassure them and explain to them how things are going to be, or if they're not clear that they are going to be taken care of, that everything's not going to fall into chaos. It's very important. And then as kids get older, they'll start asking more questions. They'll want to know why this happened. They may get angry at you. Why do you do this? So you'll begin to address those things. When they're younger, like 10, 11, 12, you might want to provide some basic, not too complicated explanations. Don't blame your ex, but you could say some basic things like, whatever, we grew apart. You could say some basic things. And of course, when they're teenagers, they're much smarter, and they're going to want to know certain things, and you can't be as a teenager, so you'll have to explain it in more detail. But it's imperative to just never explain it through blaming your ex and saying it's their fault and they're terrible. They don't love you, or that's a terrible thing to say, or things that indicate that.
About I had a client that was so angry. The children were a bit older. They kept saying, well, we still love each other, but we just can't live together anymore. But the truth was the father had an affair, and she insisted on the father telling the children about the affair because she felt, well, how else am I going to explain to them that we love each other but we're not together? How would you, I know how I would answer it, but how would you comment on those situations, which unfortunately are all too common?
Well, I understand why the man that had the affair?
Yes.
I can understand in that case, why the woman would want that to come out, but the big danger is that her need to to express that she's not the bad guy, that he's the bad guy, is her need to express that, and it is going to do nothing to help the kids to feel like their father is the one that caused the problems, or is the jerk. And even if it's true, how is it going to help to have your child resent, but not trust, especially a younger child, one of their parents, regardless of which direction the man is having an affair, the woman's having an affair. So you really have to check that need to feel like you feel abandoned, or you feel betrayed, or you feel furious, so hurt. Great. I mean, not great. It's important that that need be met, but don't use your kids as a vehicle to have that met, and to say, well, look what happened because of him, because you're just damaging your child, because that child is made up of attachments to two people, and even if it's your ex and you hate his guts, hate her guts, by making your child think badly about it, you're making the child think badly about himself or herself, because that's half of who they are and half of who they identify with. So I would say get that need met to be understood, to get your anger out, to get your hurt out, but not through your children. Of course, if they're older, they're going to need some kind of explanation about what happened. So then you have to use your judgment to balance explaining what happened, but without the kind of going on a mission to crucify them to your child. Just begin to explain it, and then not say too much past a certain point, because that's up to you. That's more up to your stuff than their stuff.